Hello, family, and welcome back to Redefine the podcast. I'm your host, Dee McKoy. Family, I am still on cloud nine from Tuesday. I literally cannot believe the love and support I got from episode one. Not that I didn't think I would do good, not that I didn't think that people wouldn't listen to it, but the outpour of love that I got, the messages, the calls, the flowers, the it amazed me. I didn't see that coming. And it was huge. I feel like it was a success. And it really made me happy. It really made me emotional because I I had been talking about it for so long, but fear had me stuck to the ground. I just I didn't think that I could do it. And then to do it and then see the response, I'm like, dang, how could I have doubted myself? Why did I doubt myself? I appreciate you guys once again. I know you've seen it in the videos, but I appreciate you. As I put out the podcast, one of the things that I asked people was to be honest and be open with me. What did you think needed help? What did I need to stay away from? Any questions? I just wanted information back, I guess. I don't even know what the word is, but I just wanted to hear what you guys had to say. And in 6 different messages from 6 different people, the one thing that they asked me was, what about you? What has redefined you? What is your story? What have you gone through? What? Tell me. And as I created this podcast, in my mind, I would talk to people and we would have these vulnerable, transparent conversations. And I would then insert some things that have happened in my life. And that would be that. However, I feel like there's maybe more that I can do. So what I decided to do is on Thursdays or Fridays, so Testimony Thursday or Flashback Friday, I will sit and talk about a redefining moment in my life. I will do 15 to 30 minutes of whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, a situation in my life that has just helped me grow or that's pushing growth, and talk about it. Whether or not I get to the 15 or the 30 minutes and I finish, if I finish, great. And if I don't, unless I feel compelled to do it the next week, then I'll just go on to something else. I don't know if I'm going to do it every week. I don't know if I'm going to do it every other week, but Testimony Thursday, Flashback Friday will happen. So today will be the first one. Surprise! What's on my heart today is kind of about how I got here. What did this process look like? Over the last 4 years, I have had my little sister, Michaela, or Mookie. You guys will hear a lot about her. I have Mookie on paper, full-time, full custody of her. And I have a 5-year-old daughter, Danny Marie. You guys will hear a lot about her as well. Danny Marie, Baby Bear, Stink-a-Stink, Puda. That's my daughter. And I have my daughter's father, my partner, it's complicated, my baby father, David. And so in having all of them, there comes many titles to me. Once I had Danny Marie, the first thing was I wanted to be a different mother than my mother was to me. And not that my mother was bad, but my mother struggled with some things. My mother struggled with drug abuse and alcohol abuse. And my father and I did not have a good relationship. It was shit. He was a provider, and that was really it. And so, because of those things, when I had a daughter, my anxiety was so high because I just didn't want to repeat anything that happened to me to my daughter. And then when I got Mookie, it was an even bigger deal that I would provide Mookie with a childhood, with teenage years that were different than mine. So, how did I do that? How was I going to avoid being my parents? How was I going to avoid trauma to my kids? How was I going to avoid that? Well, I was going to avoid that by, of course, being 100% all about them. So what did that look like? For Danny Marie, that may look like I would always drop her off at school. Every morning I would drop her off at school and I would volunteer at her school as well, along with working my job. And if I got her into a dance class, I would be the one to take her to the dance class. It didn't matter if I had homework, if I was tired, if I was sick, that every time she looked up, I was going to be there. And when it came to Michaela, that every time that she had a track meet, that I would never miss one. I would never miss a track meet. So that meant once a month, I was missing a class and I was missing hours from work. And if Michaela needed me to be her friend, her sister, her anything, that I would be it. Even in the event that I didn't know what I was doing, she would never get an I don't know, a maybe. It was I'll make it happen. And then when it came to David, I was fucking and sucking, cooking and cleaning. Anything he needed, I just wanted to be it. Check all the boxes. You don't got to go nowhere else. And so I was running myself low. I was spreading myself so thin. And I just wanted to give them everything. It didn't matter if I was empty, but I was pouring. It didn't matter if I was exhausted and I could barely move. It didn't matter because they were all that I woke up for. But something happened. Every time that I made it all about them, I made it less about me. And although I didn't know it at the time, that was a problem. Because when I made it all about them and not about me, I stopped caring about my appearance. I stopped caring about what I wore, what I ate, how I looked. My self-esteem got low. I started getting migraines. I was sleeping for 3 or 4 hours a night and still working a full-time job and still being a student. And I was so unhappy. And I would never say no. I would never say no to any of them. And I would never say no to my parents if they called and they needed me. And I would never say no to my brother if he needed something. I was the go-to. I would make it happen. But in making it happen, I stopped making it happen for myself. And then one day, it hit me. I got out the shower and I was naked and I was standing in front of the mirror and I hated what I seen. I had dark circles under my eyes. I had bags. I was the heaviest I had ever been, maybe 230 pounds. I was unhappy. I was unhealthy. I was in such a place. It was so dark. And I didn't know how I got there. I couldn't remember the exact moment that I had given up on me. I couldn't remember the exact moment that I said, fuck your happiness. I couldn't remember. And then as I sat there in the mirror, I started to think, who was I? I had no idea who Deanna was anymore. Every morning I woke up, I adjusted to what David needed. Every morning I woke up, I adjusted to what Michaela needed. Every morning I woke up, I adjusted to what Danny Marie needed. And if I got to work and they needed somebody, they needed a different Deanna, I would be that. And if I hung out with my friends and they needed a different Deanna, I would be that. And I was always taking my hat off and changing who I was, my mentality, the way I said things, the way I responded. There was no Deanna. Every day I was someone else. I was whoever I was talking to or dealing with, I was whoever they needed me to be. And I wonder why I was so damn tired. And I sat in the mirror that day and I said, I gotta change it. Or I'm gonna die one day and no one will really know who I was. Hell, I'm gonna die one day and nobody will know nothing about me. And I didn't want to live like that. I didn't want to live day to day for everyone else. I didn't want to live like that anymore. So I started to change it. I changed it in my mind. Every morning that I woke up, every morning that I opened my eyes, I asked God, Lord, please let me do something today for myself. I started off asking God to do one thing for myself. And it was like once I started asking him that, he started to break me. He started to break me. I wish you could see my hands and the motion that I'm making. God began to break me. And it hurt. My relationship was ending. Me and my mother wasn't getting along. My father was sick. My brother went back to prison. Michaela was emotional. Danny was just growing up and irritating me. And I was breaking. I was breaking. And I didn't realize that God was breaking me so he could get all those little pieces and plant me. I was a mustard seed, and he began to plant me in different spots. And as he started planting me, I started to grow, and things started to change, and I started to relearn myself. And the healing process, this growing process, it was hard. It's still hard. So I started having to say no to things. And I had to understand that no was a complete sentence. You guys know when you say no, you don't have to explain it. No, that's it. And I started to say no with no guilt behind it. I started to stand up for myself when I felt like I was being taken advantage of. I started to raise the bar on the expectations that I had for my kids, because I knew that they could do certain things, and I was doing it because I didn't want them to struggle. I began to raise the bar on David. No, you can't talk to me like that. I don't want to accept that anymore. I began to relearn myself. Not even relearn, I began to learn. The process has been extreme. The process has been lonely sometimes, because sometimes people don't know what you're going through. They don't understand it. They don't know why you're so emotional. They don't know why you're so angry. They don't know why you are responding the way that you are. And it's because as you're being planted and as you're growing, God is opening your eyes. Can you imagine it? I'm sure you can feel it. I know you've had to gone through it. And this was redefining me. This was redefining me. It was recreating me. It was restarting me. It was doing things to me that I didn't know. And I didn't understand. I didn't expect the healing process to hurt. I thought the healing was the good side. The healing was harder than the pain sometimes. And I used to ask myself, well, why am I going through this? And God would always bring it back. Don't you want to know who you are? Don't you want to learn about you? I'm stronger than I look. And I used to feel so weak. I can't do that. I could never wear that. I could never get a degree. I didn't even think I was going to graduate high school, y'all. And I graduated high school and went and got an AA. And in a year, I'll have a bachelor's degree. I started off education with a learning disability. Look at me. Growing. God kept showing me that every time I said I couldn't do it, every single time I said I couldn't do it, if I put the work in, He'd make it happen. Y'all, let me tell you, the process has been hard. Starting a podcast in the middle of a pandemic, knowing that there is people doing the exact same thing, not knowing what direction I'm going to go in, not having all the material that I need, and I'm simply believing that I can say something and do something so authentic that people will just come in. And I'm doing it during a time where I'm being planted. I'm doing it during a time where I'm growing and I'm breaking and I'm changing and I'm trying to figure it out. The redefining moment that I'm speaking of is the growing process. The growing process that I have been going through has gotten me here, has gotten me in a place where I'm no longer embarrassed to tell you what I've been through. I'm no longer ashamed to tell you what I don't know or what I don't understand. I'm no longer scared to lose anybody. I'm no longer looking at myself in the mirror wishing to be someone else. I'm happy with this growing person that I am. This woman that I'm becoming, it feels good. I feel good. I look in the mirror and I feel beautiful. I feel smart, even though I don't know everything. I feel like everyone in my life is supposed to be here, and anyone that has left or didn't want anything to do with me, whether it was my fault or their fault, it's okay. I'm learning to take responsibility because sometimes it's my fault. Sometimes I did it wrong. Sometimes I could have done better. I'm learning that not every I can cry and it's okay. Because not everything is a pity party. Sometimes it's sad. And it's okay to be sad. It's okay to cry. And just because I'm sad and I'm crying doesn't mean I'm weak. It means I'm going through the growing process. Rain brings green. The redefining moment for me to get started has been the growing process. It has been the growing process. And as I get ready to come to an end, my hope for you, and I always tell people the goal is to get 3 tips at the end of every episode, 3 things of advice, 3 things that I want to leave you with, 3 things. And I think one of my 3 if not my one, if not my only, is to trust the process. To trust the process, because when you're planted, it's dark, right? And when we think of darkness, we think of bad. We think, oh, it's dark, we can't see, you don't know what's going on. But baby, when it's dark, you're growing. When it's dark and you can't see nothing around you, and no one can see you and you can't see them, you're protected. The water is being poured on you. The air, oxygen, whatever it is working its way through you, and you start growing. My last tip, my thing is to trust the process, even when you can't see it. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm praying that I just listen to the voice that's leading me. Obedience is better than sacrifice. Obedience is better than sacrifice. That means do what you know you're supposed to do. Trust the process. Obedience is better than sacrifice. And you got to believe in you. You got to believe in you. I started this off saying I didn't even think that I was going to do this. What a mistake. What a mistake not to bet on myself. What a mistake not to say, Deanna, you can do this. Look at the things that you thought you couldn't do that you've accomplished. You can do this. At any moment that you feel like you can't, look at yourself. Say to yourself, I can do this. Quiet the noise around you. Take a deep breath in. Cry if you have to. Scream if you need to. And remind yourself that you can do this. I promise you, you can. I'm speaking to myself first. Deanna, you can do this. Family, you can do this. I'm not sure if this was a flashback Friday or thinking forward Friday or something. But this is a redefining moment for me. Growing and being planted has been redefining who I am. That's it, family. I'm at 22 minutes. I cannot wait to learn, grow, and redefine who we are together. I'll see you soon.